it's been an entire month since we have had Oilers hockey here at Rogers Place, but the Edmonton Oilers are back to face the Ottawa Senators, and we get to welcome in the one and the only Gene Principe.
Well,
Gene.
thank you. Is this the Oilers Hall of Fame room? You're right. It has been a long time. Amazing with the road trip after the break and then the Olympic break. It's wonderful to be back at Rogers Place and getting ready for the Oilers and the Senators.
And the Oilers are looking forward to being able to maybe make a bit of a statement, if you will, not being too pleased with what happened last week in California on that road trip, but they made a statement yesterday. I got to ask you about the acquisition of Conor Murphy. What do you like about that?
Well, I like the fact that they made a move.
Yep.
I think coming off of 2 losses out of 3 games in California, that as trade deadline week ramps up, if you need someone, there's no need to wait till Friday.
Yeah.
And if Stan Bowman felt like the Oilers needed Conor Murphy, then why not do it? Get him into Edmonton. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like he'll make his Oilers debut tonight, but he is expected on Friday, and I think that's okay. It'll give him a couple of days to practice and get set and get ready for the Carolina Hurricanes at the end of the week, which is trade deadline day. I love it. I mean, Stan Bowman sat not far from us for 22 minutes discussing his team yesterday, and one of the things he said in a few different ways was defense. Yeah. Defensively, we have to give our goaltenders a better situation. He said that the goalies needed to be better, but that as a team, they know how to win, and now it's about doing it. And I think Conor Murphy, who's been around the NHL a long time, his dad, Gord, played in the NHL, assistant coach in the NHL for many years, kind of has that real nice hockey pedigree. He comes from a team that is not making the playoffs to a team that's been to back-to-back cup finals, and he gives them some size, some grit, some willing to play whatever way is necessary to be successful. So I like the deal, and you know, as the captain Connor McDavid said, they didn't lose anybody, right? They gave up a second-round pick a couple of years down the road. So addition without subtraction is very important this time of the year, if you can do it.
Absolutely. And Conor Murphy also brings, I mean, you say his pedigree, also just, you know, his experience, his leadership. Of course, he was a designated leader with the Chicago Blackhawks. And we've been able to have, I would say, there's been a lot of honesty this past week with the Edmonton Oilers saying, we know that our game is not where we want it to be, but we're going to get there. Darnell Nurse being very honest this morning. Yesterday, Stan Bowman being very honest, saying all of our players need to be better. What do you think about that?
Well, I love it. I mean, Darnell, you know, the coach said yesterday, Chris Knobloch, he said, you know, he spoke of Darnell needs to move his feet. He can be better, which applies to everybody.
Yep.
You know, when you lost 5 of the last 6, if my numbers are right, you know, everybody has maybe another percent, maybe some have 10% or 5%. So, you know, I get it, but Darnell is honest about his game, and I love what he said this morning. 61 games in, I think he said he's minus 12. He's not happy.
Yeah.
You know, a big reason the Oilers have gone to back-to-back Cup finals is Darnell Nurse, who's played a lot of hard minutes, a lot of minutes against the other team's best players. And so, you know, I don't know what sometimes, you know, if you have 5 bad days in a row, I'm not going to say I'm having a bad day every day. I know I had a bad day.
Yeah.
And so, you know, if Darnell didn't feel great about that last game in San Jose, you know, fans know it in oil country, and Darnell knows it. And so I thought it was great. I just think that Darnell, you got to be careful about how many times you say things about certain players, because he's been a rock for this team for a long time and is part of the core, and they need him. Yeah. And Darnell knows that too. And Darnell's always come through when needed. And so I love Darnell just being honest. And I think fans love that as well, because honesty, no matter how old we get and how the world changes, honesty is still the best policy.
I love that. Words of wisdom with Gene Principe on this fine
Maybe a new
Tuesday
segment
morning.
on Oilers Plus.
You know what? We'll pitch that to the boss. Why not?
We'll get a sponsor.
Most important, Gene. Let's talk about the Ottawa Senators. The fact that kind of a quirky little stat is they have almost the same record as the Edmonton Oilers, with just 2 games in hand as well. Coming out of the Olympic break, they're 1-0-1. Of course, looking to kick off this road trip, or I should say even continue this road trip on a high note for themselves. What do you expect to see from the Ottawa Senators? Senators tonight.
Yeah, they came in, Ottawa's in a tough situation. They had a Battle of Ontario on Saturday night, and I don't know
Always
if,
entertaining.
Yeah, people saw it with, the stick and a line brawl. I mean, just like Edmonton and Calgary, the Battle of Ontario is, amazing, and that was a great game there on the part of those two Ontario teams, which Ottawa needs to win, right? And so, like, there's no free spaces on the bingo card right now. It doesn't matter if you're in the playoffs or if you're out, unless you are a real bottom club, but then they're feeling relaxed. So, I went through this for many years where the Oilers were a team that couldn't get into the playoffs, and they caused a lot of trouble. They could cause a lot of trouble. Ottawa is not a team like that, but they're a team kind of knowing that if they slide 3 games in a row and they find themselves 7 or 8 or 9 points out, that's a problem.
Yep.
But if they win 2 or 3 in a row, now they're right on the cusp as they're one of the teams like others chasing Boston. This is a great game. I mean, this should be a fantastic game. Edmonton's home for the first time in a long time. Ottawa's trying to kick off the western part of this road trip successfully. So I love it. And listen, you got Conor McDavid, you got a Tkachuk, who's I think a little bit better liked than the one that plays for Florida. But there's some other elements as well,
Yeah.
sidebars. But the biggest story is points and playoffs.
We love an all-Canadian matchup as well, and a recipe for a great Tuesday, or really just any day, is to add a little bit of Gene Principe. So, Gene, thank you so much.
Love being here. Thanks, Paige.
And we will love being here with you tonight. Oil Country Hockey is back here at Rogers Place. We'll see you tonight.